You can sense the intensity as they await the arrival of the Tennessee team here at Neyland Stadium. The #1 undefeated Volunteers prepare to race onto the field. Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
Didn't make it on 4th down. T comes off. Standing right by Billy Ratliff, and T's coming off and starting to unhook his pads a little bit, and Billy says, "Don't unhook your pads. We're going to get the ball back."
Second down and 11 for Arkansas. 1:47 remaining. One timeout left. Call it 12 to go for the first down. Sterner lost the football! Oh my goodness! He stumbled and fumbled, and Billy Ratliff recovered.
We made this play. Billy Ratliff knocked this All-American guard back into the quarterback. He stepped in on his foot. Quarterback probably made a mistake, not just falling on the ball. Billy not only knocked it back, but he got the ball back for us. So,
how important was this fumble recovery?
Well, it meant the season. You probably didn't know that at the moment, but it absolutely meant the season.
What's going on, Vol fans? What's up, everybody? We're out here live at Daddy Mac's Down Home Dive, Farragut, Tennessee. And Billy, we got one of your teammates, JC, is back on the show.
Hey, JC, what's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? Hey, man, I've been MIA a little bit, man, but I'm happy to be back with y'all today.
You look a little thin in the skin.
Man, we were just talking about this off camera, man. Once we get 40, that check engine light starts to come on automatically, so you have to do some maintenance on that thing. So I have to stay in shape, man. Been eating right, exercising, walking, staying away from the junk. Yeah, man, just trying to see the Vols for a long time, man. A long time.
What was your playing weight, your heaviest playing weight at D tackle?
Oh man, that's because I came in when I landed at Tennessee, I was 225, 230. By the time before everybody got on campus my freshman year, I was about 240, 245 already by that time. And I just put on like 10, 15 pounds every year. I topped out my last year. I fluctuated between 295 and low threes my senior year. So it depends on if I've been to Gus or not, how much I've been to Gus that week, whether I was 3 or not. But yeah, I was somewhere around there, 295, 3, low threes.
We was just talking about Gus's Deli, and we're not going to mention any names, but you know who we're talking about this, one of Billy's teammates that would go dorm room to dorm room trying to convince them to order his food for him because the coaches told him not to deliver to this player.
I do know who that is. I do. And his nickname and his weight probably will tell it if you know who we're talking about. So I do know exactly who we're discussing at the moment. Yeah.
Did he ever get you to order any food for him?
Oh no, I wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, no. I wasn't contributing to he wouldn't get me cussed out for one. And two, I was getting blamed. For enough stuff Big Cat and Radot were doing at the time, and all my little younger brothers were doing. I didn't need one more thing for them to blame me for.
Well, we had one of your teammates on, Toby Champion, last week. He had a lot of good stories, and he did a good job. I was glad to have him. I hope we can get him back on here.
Man, Toby Champion is Toby's one of my favorite people, not just teammates. I have a lot of those, but Toby is an all-around great guy. Toby's one of those people, you hear somebody say, well, if you don't like Toby, it's something wrong with you. If you have an issue with Toby, it is definitely something wrong with you because it's not Toby. he just looked out for me all the time because I know when I had my car accident before my senior year, because I know most people know about Big Cats, Sean's car wreck, but about a month before his car wreck, I was in a pretty serious one too. And I was off campus. By the time I got out of the hospital, I couldn't even really get around. I didn't have transportation. And Toby would come and get me and bring me to campus to go to class, rehab, whatever it was I was doing. He would come and get me every day. And that was big, man, because, having a car on campus, anybody who has a car on the team, you're real popular when you have that car. But once I didn't have it anymore, a lot of my friends that, I would always hear from, I didn't hear from him anymore, but Toby Champion was one of those people that he looked out for me, man. Toby's been, he's just that type of person. So I love Champ.
The thing that I took away from that time he was on the show, I asked him, I said, did you have any mentors, upperclassmen that you really looked up to that really helped you out, kind of away from the field and practice? And he told me Jonathan Brown was his dude.
Yeah.
And he just really helped him with his, watch what he was doing on offensive line. But what did he call him? Johnny Blades?
Well, yeah, Johnny Blades, JB. We all had these names for him. But yeah, JB, that's my classmate too. But JB, he always carried himself like he was a little bit older most of the time. So yeah, he was a technician. He was good at his craft, and he was good at once he became that elder statesman, he was good at not just the people on defense showing them what to do, but working with the offensive linemen and people on offense too. So I can see why Toby said that.
And I wanted to bring up something he brought up, then we'll get into the show. We were talking about the differences between your teams back in the 90s and the team today. And he said overall team speed. And that took me back because I always thought that, you see this fast paced game now, you think we're faster now. He brought up the thought that, y'all were faster back then because of the way you recruited. Like we would recruit big corners and turn them into safeties, big safeties, turn them into linebackers into DNs, and DNs into tackles, and D tackles into offensive linemen. So they might've been a little slow for their original position, but you move them up, then they're 2 steps faster. What do you think about that concept?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree, but I agree with that concept. That's the Miami model. We've talked about that before. Miami really started doing that, and I'm a product of that myself. I came there as a linebacker, and I ended up as a defensive tackle, but by way of defensive end. That part of it is correct. There's very few people who came there and played the position that they were recruited as when they got there. Everybody was like a step down on the defensive side of the ball. And even a bunch of our offensive linemen were ex-defensive linemen. So, the skill positions on the offensive side, that's a little bit different. That's another skill set. But all of our defensive linemen, all of our tackles used to be ends. All of our ends used to be linebackers. All of our linebackers used to be safeties and running backs. And, again, corner, that's a really specific skill position. It's hard to change that over, but we did have big corners that moved to safety. So yeah, that's true. And we did have, at the time, we were one of the few, we were on the front end of doing that. Not everybody was doing it, because especially in the Big Ten, you'd have these just big, slower defensive linemen and, run stoppers, pluggers. But the teams, south of the Mason-Dixon line, we were on the edge of, creating that, team speed. Where I'm going to disagree with them, I don't think that's the difference between our era and now, because people have been doing that for years. Now people don't do it because that kid who's playing linebacker, he's been playing linebacker since he was in grade school, and he's been specifically working on that thing. And they train all year round, and the training that they do right now far exceeds what we did by a country mile. Like, they do it all year round, and they really just get to it, and they put a lot into what they're doing. I think the difference between what I can speak for our team, what I saw on our team, and you may see the same thing across the country. What I think the difference for when we were really, really good we had a good mix of how do I say this? Choir boys, people who were straddled the line, and people who were habitual line steppers who stayed on the right side of the line. You have to have a certain we had to have a certain attitude that puts you over the top to win. You can be good, but to be as good as we were for the time that we were that good, and you would see it with other teams. Look at Miami when they were really good. Look at Ohio State. Look at the teams. There was something that separated them from everybody else. You have to. You're not playing football.
We lost Jeff. He'll come back in and I'll bring him in. But anyway, we're at Daddy Mac's Down Home Dive, Farragut, Tennessee, off Campbell Station Road. We got Hayden Bright coming up as our live entertainment a little later. Billy, you gonna hang out for that? We got buy one get one free 6-piece wings tonight. So you need to be trying that out. Let's wait a minute on JC. Here he is.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not flag football. It's a combat sport that requires aggression and a certain attitude to play it. So, yeah, you can turn it off when you're on and off the field, but when you have a certain group of people that, like I said, we had people that were, but we had a certain attitude and demeanor about us, and we had enough people. Again, what I say, the nice way I'm saying it is habitual line steppers that put us like over the edge. And you see, and Worm saw this after the mid 2000s, late 2000s, early 10s. We kind of lost some of that, especially when Hamilton, when they tried to turn us into Vanderbilt and the other schools to get rid of some of that. They targeted that element to get rid from our program, and you saw the product on the field. That's my personal opinion about that. Everybody's fast right now. We have a fast team. I would even say the team they have right now is probably faster than what we had. It's not that. I don't think.
Well, before we get into talking about the South Carolina game, because I know that meant a lot to you, let me ask you the question. I don't think I've ever asked this of you. You know, Toby said that Jonathan Brown was his mentor and his dude, you know, that really helped him the most. Who was it on your team for you?
Oh man, I had a bunch of those, man. Leonard Little, he was, even though we came back, he came back around the time a year that I was here, but he's older than me. And he was always, you can't look at Leonard and try to emulate what he does, because there's very, very few people that were as big as him, fast as him, strong as him, aggressive as him. You just have to, the way he worked, his attitude more than anything was, he was a different guy off the field. Once he got between the lines, man, goodness gracious, he was something else. But the man, Steve White, as far as the older guy, somebody that I looked up to, somebody that, you hear different stories about how Steve was a different guy. He had a way, he showed tough love, and that's kind of the way I'll put it. You knew he cared. You could tell when he cared about you, because if he spent any time talking to you, Steve wouldn't waste time talking to you if he didn't care. The way he would talk to you was a little bit different, and the way he would teach you. But if he took the time to do it, he cared. And Steve was, like, again, you talk about a technician and somebody that, not a super athlete, but he could get to the quarterback. He could stop the run. He was as smart as any defensive lineman I've ever seen. And just looking at something and breaking it down and understanding it, and just knowing what he was doing. And I remember my first first like real game interaction with him. This started early because I've told stories about how Coach Brooks would put me in at defensive tackle, even though I was in for 3 years. I was not officially a tackle. We're playing Georgia my freshman year, and he's like, "Man, get in there." So it's a passing situation. We're running. I think it was a Tex or E. It was a game with the end and the tackle. So I'm playing the defensive tackle beside Steve, and they call a timeout. And Steve didn't say much to me at all. He just, before, the time we're coming out of the timeout, he just came and grabbed me by my collar. He was like, "Freshman, don't get me killed out here. Let me go," and went on about his business. So, and that was Steve. But that's the way he He went about his business. He was about business out there when it's practice, it's game time. But I learned a lot from him, like while he was there, when afterwards, and just staying in touch with him, just about life. After football, we talked. It was about different things other than football. But yeah, that's another guy. Then one more thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't just talk about that offensive line we had, because I spent a lot of time in 94, 95, well, really 94, going against Bubba Miller, Jeff Smith, Kevin Mays, Big Ratliff, Jason Lehman. They taught me by teaching me how to practice and how to come and bring it every day. Or if you don't, you'll get steamrolled. So I mean, there was a lot of other people, but those are some of the ones that came to mind.
I don't know that I've ever asked you that question, Billy. Who was your mentor?
I had too many, man. It's just hard to name them.
Yeah, it's like I'm missing. As I was saying that, and as I finished, there's people. I don't, and I hate to do that and leave people off that's important to me, that taught me something. But
all right, let's get down to my bone to pick. Billy, I was telling Billy, I said, well, I think JC's coming into town. He'll probably hit me up. What time the game start? Yeah, he'll probably be here a little early. He's going to come see me. And then the game started. I said, no, he's doing me a solid one. He said he's going to wait till the end of the game because he really wanted to spend a lot of time with me. I said, Billy, he's going to come after the game. We're going to hang out. And I kept waiting, looking at the door, and I kept telling the host, hey, I showed him your picture. I said, if he walks in, send him to my office. And I don't know.
You know what, Kevin, it was Saturday because we had that. So Friday. You understand Friday?
Yeah, I understand Friday.
So you understood Friday. So if you understood Friday, you know what kind of start I got on Saturday.
Okay, I got you.
And then Saturday we had to be at the tailgate at a certain time because Al had his kickoff for his brand. I want to give a shout out to anybody. Al Wilson's Sangria 27. So when I was over there, I was like, man, it hit me earlier that day. I was like, I'm not gonna get to hang out with Catfish again. But I'm coming. When we come back, Georgia, it's just me, Mrs. We're coming out to eat. I'm bringing the missus there to eat when we come back to Georgia.
All right, I got you.
I will vouch.
It was that weekend was it was about, they had us running from one thing to another, and it was rough. It hit. I was like, man, I know I'm gonna get it. I know I'm gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. I mean, I was overwhelmed by last weekend.
Yeah.
A lot.
In a good way.
That's most definitely. I mean, because I wasn't even expecting the tailgate to be what it was. I was like,
yeah, man. Yeah, and I tell people, this is what I was telling some of the teammates that for whatever reason didn't get to make it. Life, we're all adults and have families and obligations and things like that. But what I was telling everybody, like, this 25 is really, this is the last milestone when there's going to be, so nobody cares about 30 really. I mean, they'll do something for 30, but that's not a milestone. 35, 40, 50 is the next real milestone. That's 25 years from now, and life is life, and there's going to be some of us that's not going to be here. I don't want to take the tone down, but some of us are going to be here. We're going to lose people. We're going to be old. We're not going to be able to get around and do anything. 25 was really the one where we have our faculties about us. We're all somewhat, together. And I'll tell you, one of the great things to see, and I didn't see the thing that was one of the best things about that weekend was seeing my teammates and their families and their kids. There was a football team and basketball team just walking around like a youth, like just brigade of kids. You look at Antoine's son, you look at Debo Darwin and his boys, you look at David Martin and his trees that he had with him. Dominique has 2 little boys. Everybody has these just super look like, and I told them all they're gonna be better than your daddy. I told David Martin's sons, and David's 6'5". Yeah. I said his sons are probably 6', 7", whatever. I said, walk up to your dad and say, "What's up, little man?" And just that's how you talk to him at the house. So just seeing everybody because I always tell you, I grew up in Tennessee. So seeing these guys, I grew up now with their family, kids, and seeing what they're doing and just what people are doing in life. That was more, I got as much out of that as I did, telling them same football stories about 98 for the 1,000th time. I just that was one of the highlights for me.
Yeah, speaking of David Martin's boys, I got to hang out with them a lot, staying with Billy, because Isaac was about his age, and man, he's grown up fast.
Yeah, man. Oh, and I forgot Jack Bernard and his boys. It's like, I'm telling you, man, it was a football team and a basketball team walking around there. It's crazy, man. I'm ready to see how these boys continue because you feel like you know them when you see them on social media and stuff like that. And you hear and talk to people, you feel like you already know them anyway. But you got to get to see them in person. It's great. It was great.
Corey Terry told Toby.
And Corey's son. Yeah, Corey's boy.
He was there, yeah.
Yeah.
All of these guys are 14. I'm thinking they're 17, 18. They're 13 and 14. This is what was the crazy part about it. Corey's son was 14. I'm like looking at him in the face. He's like, I'm like, I'm thinking he's a junior, maybe senior. I don't know, 14. And that's the story with all of them, man. They're all these just 13, 14, maybe 15-year-olds walking around like freshmen, like young men and freshmen in college. It's crazy.
I mean, did you see Richard Seymour's kid?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did see Seymour. I didn't get a chance to catch Seymour because it's another South Carolina boy too. I meant to get a chance to go talk to him. I didn't. But yeah,
he was the size of his dad.
I know, man. I don't know what these kids are doing now, man. It's something else. It is something else.
Well, speaking back to the Corey
Terry.
Yeah, Corey Terry. I had a brain freeze there. He told Toby, he said, "Man, what's wrong with his team?" And Toby said, "What? We're winning." They were in the tunnel when they came off at halftime. He said, "They ain't no cussing and fussing like when we played when they came."
That's what I told you. That's the part where I'm telling you, and I'm not saying they can't win, but there was a certain element to our team that you knew what was going on with it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Corey Terry knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So what did you think about the game? Were you glad you're a South Carolina kid from South Carolina? Oh, I bet you liked that, didn't you?
That couldn't have gone better just because of my history, because I'm from South Carolina. And, of course, Gaffney, South Carolina. Shout out to the Mighty Indians, Big Gaffney, what everybody call him. So there's a story in there for another day, but I'll give you a little bit of it. But we've talked about some of this before. Just the way coming out of the state, being the number one player in the state, one of the top players in the country, and leaving the state. I tell people, I made up my mind I was never going to go there. I knew I wasn't going to go there, but out of respect for the school, I kept them in my top 5. I visited because I thought it would look crazy for me to not show interest in the school when I had the whatever was going on with me as far as rankings and everything goes. I was out of respect for them because I grew up liking them. I said, I'm going to keep them in there, make it look, again, be respectful to them. But once I decided not to go, that started a long road of disrespect from fans. And I get it. You're mad, you're upset, you're hurt, whatever it is. But I'm, again, 18-year-old kid doing what's best for me. Never said anything bad about the school, never did any of that. I was respectful of them throughout the process. And to be treated the way I was treated by them, Worm, you know this. Like my redshirt year, sometimes especially if it's your home state, they'll take you on the road. They let me go to the South Carolina game. Now, mind you, I redshirted. I'm not playing. They let me go dress out just to go back home, get the experience and everything else. And I'm excited to go back home. I talk up because the environment in Williams-Brice is big time, like a lot of SEC schools. But that tailgate, the crowd, even when they're bad, which was often, they still fill up the stadium. The environment was nice. So I'm like telling everybody about, just happy to be back home. I'm going back. This is going to be great, yada, yada, yada. I get there, and I don't even know how they knew I was coming because, again, I redshirted. I saw people with some kind of sign talking bad about me. I got cussed out by some people in the stands, just about leaving, abandoning, calling me all sorts of names. And I've never forgotten that. And I'm not one of these. I moved on and got over, but that just always stuck with me. So to go in and get to play them one time a year, and I always had good games against them, especially the last year we went out there. I just made it a point to try to, you know, I'm young and I'm at that time still have a real attitude. So I'm like, we're gonna show you. I'm like, run it up, keep scoring, coach. Something like just I was at that point, but to go through all that with them, and then to have to have the reason why I left the state to come somewhere like Tennessee to win a national championship, to come celebrate that against them, to really just highlight this is why I left. This is why I left South Carolina to go to Tennessee, because for a lot of reasons, but this is one of the things that I left to go do, and to celebrate that against them meant a lot. And then, to have our, Worms on my shirt, I got to get you one, Catfish, to get our Carolina Connection shirt, because when we played against them that year, they made it a point to stick that in their face too, about the Carolina boys that they plucked away, and from them. So it was a lot that went into that. That it was special for a lot of different reasons, and just to get that victory. And plus, the way they beat us last year,
Yeah.
and I had to hear that for a whole year. Anytime if they won a game or anybody beat them, they had to bring up the fact that they beat Tennessee last year. I was tired of that. So it was satisfying. It was a good win.
Well, South Carolina has always been a hotbed for us on recruiting. And that's something I've always wanted to ask you. And it just hit me again that I need to ask you. Did you ever play in high school against some of your teammates like Big Cat, Sean Ellis, and some of the guys that are from over there? Name some of the guys from your team that was from South Carolina. Was Dominique, wasn't he from there?
Yeah, me and Dominique played Little League football together. Me and Dom, we go back as far back as Little League. So, yeah, and I because he was trying to go to Virginia. I wasn't going to let it happen. But Worm knows this too. We signed two more after me. Ike Curry, he ended up not quite. He was a tight end linebacker. He was before Dominique, but he ended up. This is when the clearinghouse. He had some clearinghouse issues, and he got tired of waiting, and he left. And the day after he left, they cleared him, but he was already gone. He went to Carson Newman, played really good football out there. And we had four guys signed from my school. Jalen Miller, defensive end. 2000, it was probably 10, 12, 13 years ago. He played for Dooley, I want to say. So we had four guys from my school, three after me, that signed. But then I didn't get to play against Big Cat. Big Cat was 2 years behind me. We didn't play West Side. I always messed with him. We were 4A. They were like 3A. I didn't play against Debo. So none of my teammates, and we played a lot of North Carolina teams too, but I didn't get to play any of those Carolina guys. I did play Leonard in basketball, but our team played him, and I was suspended that game. Asheville and Gaffney played. I didn't get to play against him that game. He dunked like 2 or 3 times. And I told him if I was out there, I'd have undercut him, clotheslined him, something. He wasn't going to be out there dunking like that. He's lucky I didn't play. I tell him that all the time. So but I knew of all those guys, because I always kept up with the South Carolina boys, with Sean, Devo, like all the guys that came out of there. I knew about Big Hainsworth when he was coming out. Asheville is close. I'm from the upstate, so I knew about Craig and Leonard, before we all got there. I knew of them just by news and just by keeping up with people. And a bunch of any of the boys that played in the Carolinas, I knew of them.
Well, we're going to go on we don't have a lot of time. I know you got some work to do, but I'm going to play everybody probably the worst play call, I think, in the history of
since the Herm Edwards situation. That's a throwback for a lot of people. They may have to Google that, but Google Herm Edwards and then think about this.
Well, I'm gonna play it here. I'm hoping it'll play here, but it's that Miami Georgia Tech game.
In this football off, I don't know what Miami is doing.
3rd and 10, 36 seconds, 35.
Well, here's Chaney. Just straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You got to read the clock. Read the card. To me,
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds left. 3 to the field for King. Up in the pocket, going to loop it down the field, and it is caught. And that's Rutherford. Here's King from the pocket. Flush to his right with 6. 5. Going to loop it downfield. And ball is caught. Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
First of all, they shouldn't have been in that position, but I think his elbow was down. But that's beside the point. What do you think about why?
You want to hear? I'll probably have this is another probably unpopular opinion. I'm going to give Coach Cristobal. He's been getting killed, by the way. He's been.
Yeah.
They've been giving him the business. But let's think about something though. He is new to that program, and he's trying to establish a culture, an identity with that team. For him, I really think he looked at that as this is another snap, another rep. He's that type. For what I know of him as a coach, I see that from him. It's like this is another rep for us to run the ball, get some blocking, run it. And if we're where we're supposed to be or where we need to be going, I can go hand this ball off without you fumbling the ball, or maybe you get a first down, we kill it. I should be able to do that and feel comfortable with doing that because we're going to need to do this to kill the clock, to actually kill the clock at some point. I think he was really working. This is the first half of the first part of it. I really think that was his train of thought at that time. Yeah, I could have taken a knee and got out of here, but all right, let's run a play. Let's block it up, run it up, and see what we can do.
It's only a problem when it doesn't work.
That's the end, and I'm going to back into that. So now, with that in mind, the guy didn't have to fumble the ball. Whether he okay, hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to be in a situation, a 2-minute, 4-minute offense where you're going to need to run the ball to kill the clock, and people are going to try to get the ball from you. Hold on to the ball. That's one. But just like Arkansas with Word, that's one part of it. You got the ball back. Go stop somebody. There was no time left on the clock, which is a lot different than the other situation I just mentioned. Even though he ran the ball, should have done it in some people's eyes, but he did. Got fumbled. You still had a chance to stop them, and Georgia Tech does not have this prolific offense that should have been able to do what they just did. I just think they were in shock. Guys were probably taking off the pads, not ready to go back in there. Coach didn't have any calls, no defensive calls ready. They just weren't prepared for that, but you have to be. And I'm not going to put that, with all that in mind, I'm blaming everybody but the head coach for that.
What do you think, Billy?
It reminded me of the Arkansas game. I mean, when you're winning like that, and you don't take that chance, man. If your defense has been playing well all game, just do.
Is it a chance though? What chance are you taking by running the ball?
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it almost made me think that they was doing it for the fans, and I don't like that, man. You gotta play your game. Don't worry about nobody else. You got to play your team.
What if your game is? We've been not very good for a bunch of years now. I'm trying to get us to where we are very good. This is a rep to where I can run the ball, hand it off, get some tape, and execute. I don't see anything wrong with that call. You can get out of it. If I can't do that, we're not ready anyway. If I can't run a regular between the tackle play and you not go fumble the ball, then what are we doing? What are we doing?
They said, I believe it was yesterday, I read an article where their OC's actually the one that called the play, and the coach said he should have overruled.
Okay, you're right, and I don't like that. You as a head coach can't really say that. If you didn't do it in the moment, don't come out here and hang your guy out to dry and say I should have overruled it. Well, or he's either that or he's lying, and he was okay with it, and now he's trying to push the blame off on somebody else.
Yeah,
I think he was okay with it. Now he's trying to blame the other guy.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did. Put the blame on somebody else.
All right, we don't have a lot of time left. Let's talk about A&M. Tell me what you think about this game. We got some players back. We've lost some players. We got Brew out. Did you see the play and see Brew, South Carolina? I thought of Billy when I seen it. And then
we were down on the field when it happened, but we were down there talking because they had brought us down for halftime. And I had my back or side turned, and I forgot. Somebody told me, I don't know if it was wrong, if it was you or not. Somebody told me that Brew just got hurt. I didn't see it because we were in the process of getting ready for the halftime. But that's a big loss from a standpoint because you can look at his numbers and say, oh, he's not having the same type year. But I think Brew's impact is more than his numbers. He's a tough guy. He blocks. He brings an attitude. He's an older guy, more mature. I think not having what he brings it's going to hurt. But I think it, just like any situation like that, it's giving someone else an opportunity to step up. And we've seen countless times people that you may have never heard of or heard of later, if not for a situation like this, to where they had to step up or they got the opportunity by someone's misfortune. But Brew is, I wish he was there, is the way to say it. I wish he was still playing. I hate that for him.
Well, I don't know if Crying Ryan's in the chat because I can't see it right now, but he texted me something today. And I'm just going to read it to you real quick. Joe Milton currently ranked number 14th in the SEC in yards per attempt. Tennessee most productive receiver ranks number 20th in the league in yards. Tennessee ranks number 74 in the country in pass plays of 30-plus yards, ranked number 1 last season. Tennessee has SEC's number 10 passer rating in the league's game. Why do you think there's such a big difference from last year to this year? Is it personnel, or
is that a real question?
Yeah. Is it just personnel, or does he not have faith in his squad?
Does who not have faith?
The coach.
Coach is running the same stuff, and I'm not going to turn that question into a bash Joe session. But Joe has not performed up to the level that Hendon did to this point in the season. Can he still improve? Can he still do those things? Because I don't like when people take stats in a vacuum and it's 4 or 5 games, a smaller sampling size. If you want to sit here after 8, 9, 10 games or after the season and tell me why, like, okay, I hear you. Is it Crying Ryan? Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
So, but the point of the game is to win the game. I'm more concerned like the execution and that sort of thing. He's not going. He was never going to have the same season that Hendon had.
Yeah.
The sooner everyone gets that together, the better we'll, including myself, we'll all be. We don't need him to be Hendon this year in order to win. We're improved on defense. We have, other pieces on offense, but it's about moving the chains. I said this last time I was on. He just needs to make. I don't care. I do care about the 30-yard passes, but that's not what's most important. It's the chain movers. It's the 7-yard passes. It's the 8-yard passes, the 10, 12, the things that keep drives going that are going to, help us improve. I mean, those stats, do they sound great? No, but you can kind of, stats are stats.
Well, Billy told us last week, or when was it? Last Wednesday, whenever Toby came out, that he felt like the D-line, the interior, was probably our weakest link on defense. How do you feel about our defense? I thought we showed out against South Carolina.
Who said that?
The interior. He said he needs to get in gear.
I need to hear Worm say that. What's your take on it? What's your take on that, Worm?
I just think our DTs need to step up. That's the only. I mean, if we Big 21 plays D tackle, doesn't he? Don't know. Exactly, and that's what I said. I mean, if you got a number that's not a defensive lineman number, you don't play like that.
I can't say. Okay, which game? You talking about the Florida game, or you talking about in general?
In general.
Oh no, I can't co-sign with you on that one. Even against Florida, I think it was a bad half, and I think they did some things schematically. They schemed us and confused us more than they just beat us at the line against Florida. That little jet sweep misdirection thing that they were doing. If you look at and It's funny you say that because now I'm trained to just look. I look at the defensive line, but I also look, and I don't like calling out the individual players like that. But 44, who was backing up our transfer guy, he wasn't the normal starter, and he made some good plays that game. But there were a couple plays where he just didn't feel or scrape or clean up the play the way he needed to clean it up. It wasn't that I haven't seen us get manhandled, and you may be able to show me something that I have not seen. I've not seen a game where we've been getting just manhandled, pushed off the line, to where we're not getting penetration, to where we're not making plays. I have not seen that outside of that Florida game for that one half. I haven't seen that. I think our defensive line, and you said the interior, you isolated it to the interior.
All I want you to do is answer one question for me.
Sure.
Name a defensive tackle play that you've seen made a play this season.
Well, they have multiple sacks. There's defensive tackles that have multiple sacks and tackles for loss. What do you mean?
I think you're talking about the wrong players, JC.
No, I'm not talking about the wrong player. 21 has sacks. The other back, look, I'm going to go look. I'm going to find you, but I know for a fact that the interior linemen have sacks. They have tackles for loss. And that's, everybody sees that. It's easy to look that up on the stat, but I also watch, are you getting beat at the line of scrimmage? Are you getting pushed into the linebacker? I don't see them getting pushed into the linebacker. I don't see them getting flushed outside of a play and somebody running behind them. I don't see that happen consistently. I don't.
JC, I don't think you're watching the film, man.
I am watching the film.
This is the great debater, Billy.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
This is what Campus, we're gonna set this up. We're going to do a breakdown. We can't do it now, but me and Worm will sit. We're gonna get some game film, and don't let him cheat you into finding all the cut-ups that support his point. We're just gonna take a game and just go and look at each one of these defensive plays, and we're gonna talk about what the defensive tackle did on that play.
All right, we'll do that. We'll set up.
Let's do that. That'll settle that argument. And if I'm wrong, which I'm probably not, I will say that I'm wrong.
All right, we got to make some picks. I actually I started out.
Hold on. Can, before we do that, because do we have a couple minutes?
Yeah, go ahead.
We didn't talk about A&M, and that may be part of the picks, but I didn't hear what you guys think about the A&M game. We kind of breezed past that part.
I want to know what you think.
I've heard a lot of people say they're worried about that game. Can you hear me?
A lot of the pundits I've been reading is picking A&M to win the game.
They say why?
No, I don't. I didn't read a lot of it. It was just like
here's what, because I think they forgot about that Miami game for one, and the last thing they saw Texas A&M do was play Alabama. They played a pretty decent game, but Texas A&M plays Alabama tough every year. Yeah. There's some people that just give other people fits matchup wise, whatever the reason is. I think a lot of that has to do with what they just did against Alabama, because look at their whole look at the season. I mean, they had a good record, but look how they've played other games. And for what they actually do, you got to look at the matchup. What matchup were we concerned about from A&M? Is there, because are they going to run the ball on us? Are they going to? What's the matchup issue that people have?
I'll tell you, my concern is our offensive line against their defensive line and our running game. They're ranked like really, really high against the run in the nation.
Where are we as far as running the ball? Where are we ranked as far as running the ball?
I haven't looked it up.
We're at the top.
Maybe.
There you go.
Sure. Let me tell you about this. Everybody
there you go.
So lost into y'all still stuck in last season. This is
I'm not.
No, I'm saying like the world.
He talking about
they are.
The fans.
That's why I think, because we got to get over Hendon. We have to let Hendon go. Love him, but you're right. I agree with you on that. We got to let him and a lot of last year go.
Yes. So like the problem that they understand, like they're talking about that A&M have this ferocious defensive line, but what they don't understand is they got Texas A&M have a lazy defensive line.
They do. I agree. Now that I agree with you on. They do.
And when you see, and I'll be honest with you, the way our offense operates, It's going to be a lot of cramping up going on come third quarter. And these guys, they're not going to be able to substitute. And if coach do what he's supposed to do, I'm not worried about that defensive line.
I agree with you on that, Worm. And I think you're spot on with a lot of what you just said about that D line. They're talented, but they like to just rush the passer. They don't like to. I haven't seen them. You see what they just get in there and just stick their nose in there and stop the run. That's not what they want to do, because I think they're about putting up stats, and they do take plays off. I don't want to hurl that accusation at somebody, but they don't always look to play up to their talent level, their supposed talent level, is what I'll say.
You're right.
I do think that if we run our up tempo, and then when I say we run the ball at them a good bit, if we keep our splits as to how much we run and pass, if we run the ball at least half, maybe 60% of what that's going to give them problems. I really do think that's going to give them problems.
Well, it's on our list to do on our pick 'em. We're going to start out with and let me set this up. I started out strong the first couple of weeks. I got way out in front of Billy, like way out, because I had a new system. And then Billy started doing all this reverse psychology and psychological warfare and got me off my game, and he caught up. And last week, starting out, we were 10 wins, 11 losses, just under 500. Both of us were tied.
Hold up, stop. You let him catch you? Wait a minute, what did I leave off? What's my percentage?
No, I'm not going to say he cheats, because I made the picks. But, he'll talk up a team, and it'll sound real good, and I'll take them because he talked them up before the picks. And then when I take them, then he takes the other one. So he sets me up. All
right, let's go. What do we got? So wait a minute, what's my record? What did I leave? What's my standing record on the year? What's that?
I think it's we have to add it up. We didn't do it.
I do know it's way above 500. I do know that.
It was 5-5 the last we talked, and then you went to you weren't.
Wait a minute.
You were 5-5.
How was that 5-5? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you under? You ain't over 500.
No, no, I'm over 500 because I only lost one game the first week, so I lost 4 games the next week.
I'll go audit it. I'll audit it, and I'll make sure that the record is straight, whatever it is.
Somebody is pencil whooping me over there, but let's go. Let's get that. I'm gonna get it right this week. Let's go.
Okay. We got to get off here. All right, Washington and Oregon. Washington -3. Go ahead, Billy.
Washington.
JC.
Where's this game?
Where's the home game? Okay, well, at Washington.
Washington -3.
Yeah.
Washington.
I'm gonna go Oregon. All right, South Carolina and Florida. South Carolina favored by 2.5. I guess it's at South Carolina.
Yeah, it's at South Carolina. South Carolina. Florida plays terribly on the road.
Is that South Carolina?
South Carolina. Florida sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
they do. They're bad. They are.
I'm picking Florida because I've been trying to jinx Florida, because when I pick them, they lose. So I'm gonna pick Florida because I want them to lose. So I'm picking Florida.
I see why you're under 500. What's the next game?
Notre Dame and USC. That's an interesting game. Notre Dame -3.
Notre Dame.
Where is this game? I gotta know where it is. Is that Notre Dame? Yeah, Notre Dame.
All right. I'm gonna go USC. All right, Vols by 3.5.
Vols.
All
right, I'm going Vols too. All right, Kentucky and Missouri. Kentucky by 2.5. I'm taking Missouri. They gave that one game away against LSU. I'm taking Missouri.
Kentucky. I don't even need to know where they playing at. Kentucky.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, JC. We're going to get off of here, and we will see you next Wednesday. And I'll do an audit. On your record. I'll make sure that you're legit. And we'll. Yeah,
I think somebody's fudging the books over there at the network.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Toby went 2-6 last week, so he didn't hold the fort down for you.
So somebody at the road show is not keeping proper books over there, man.
All right,
I'm calling for a recount.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Come down and see us at Daddy Mac's Down Home Dive, Farragut, Tennessee. Got a lot of people out here. We're going to get on out of here.
Did you text me while I was doing that? How much longer?